Hello everyone, today's episode is all about this fabulous pattern which is called the Cosy Jersey dress and tunic. I do a bit of a sew along and loads of tips and ideas because I've made it several times and I can give you some suggestions. So everybody, this pattern here by My Handmade Wardrobe has a special discount for you for this month until the end of April, which is the following code, which is on the screen. It only lasts till the end of April though, and it's Sequin Cozy, and it gets you 50% off the pattern, which is an amazing discount. I haven't been paid to do this. I was asked to sew the pattern for the catwalk at the Sewing for Pleasure event, and I have sewn it several times just because I love it, and that's what this episode is about. So if you would like some tips and ideas and suggestions, then this is the episode for you. I'm going to cut to me taking you through some of the steps, and also then at the end, if you stay on, I'll show you various iterations, love that word, of the dress that I've made. So let's start with the fact that this is a really flexible pattern. The dress offers you various options, including a dress and a tunic style, tie waist and or pockets or neither, short sleeve, cap sleeve, long sleeve. So there's a lot of variation there that you can choose from. The instruction booklet is really clear, including colour photographs of what to do, and also telling you for each step very clearly. So here, dress with tie waist, and then clear instructions as well. It goes from, let me do the sizes for you, has great suggestions about things you need to know for sewing with stretch, and has sizes extra small to extra large, and that's a bust of 33.5 inches through, and this is the finished garment measurements, through to 55 inches, and a waist of 37.5 inches, that's the finished measurement, so down to 26 for body measurement, up to 55 inches in the finished garment measurement. It gives you advice on how to prep and choose, and how to measure as well, and about grading out. And that's one of the lovely things, is Sarah's given you advice on the grading out here. I didn't find I needed to. I will tell you in a minute what I went for, and how to add and remove length as well. And this is designed to be a great introductory pattern for if you want to start sewing with jersey. I would say it's a brilliant one for that. There's great opportunities for mixing and matching and using up remnants and things, because you've got the panels, which are shown really clearly here in this version here, and you'll see in one that I've made. And obviously we've got the layout plans. And the great thing about this instruction book, it's got room for notes at the back as well. So my body measurements are 36 bust, 32 waist, depending on when it is, and about a 40-inch hip. I cut out, I think I cut out the small. Yes, I cut out the small because that was a bust, finished bust of 37.5, so a little bit of room there, and a finished waist of 37.5, so that gave me room around my waist. So that's the one I went for. I did grade a little bit on one of them at the waist to bring it down. So let's go through the pattern pieces. You have this very unusual side panel that you cut two of, with this unusual thing at the top. Well, what you need to think about is when that's finished, one goes at the front and one at the back, so it folds because it's the side panel. You've got really clear markings here for where you position the belt and or pockets, and you've got the tunic length, but also it tells you how to lengthen and shorten. You then have a front and back panel piece, which are similar but different, and they're easy to spot the difference between. These are cut on the fold. So that's the front panel, because you've got the deep scoop for the V-neck, and you cut that on the fold. And then the back panel version of that you can tell it's the back. It does say very clearly on there is a much less dramatic scoop, and again cut on the fold. So that's your 4 main pieces. You have choices of pieces if you want them. So for example, there's a pocket piece if you want it, and if you're doing it with the tunic, got optional pocket, optional belt piece. This is the cap sleeve. If you do the cap sleeve, you've got obviously optional sleeve, and then you've got an optional, if you do the long sleeve, you can put a cuff on. So you've got the cuff piece, and if you're doing the tunic, you've got an optional band to go on the bottom as well. So there's lots of bits to choose from. The other essential pieces that you need are the facing for the front and the back. Now this actually says cut 1 in fabric and 1 interfacing. I didn't cut interfacing. Really depends on what you make it in. I did not need interfacing. Anyone who follows me already, you'll know my opinions on that, and I can show you full versions, and I haven't done interfacing on any of them. So if you are ready to follow along with me and you have the pattern, go and cut out your side panel, your front and back piece on the fold, and these 2 pieces. Now these might not be in your main fabric. If you don't want to use it, you could use a contrasting, because they won't officially be seen. And then you need to decide, if you're doing a tie belt, cut that out. If you're doing a pocket, cut that out. So make your decisions. If you're making a toile, I wouldn't do any of those. I would just do those pieces to practice. If you're going to watch to the end first and see choices before you make decisions, do that, but when you're ready, cut out your pieces. Now I will show you in my finished ones. I did some at the length it was set at and some longer, so you can see how I've played around with that as well to create length that I feel works for me and is length that I like in my clothes. So now you're going to have me talking you through the sewing, and then you're going to have me talking at the end. So go and join the me that's doing the sewing now. Hello everyone. For this part is the first step that you will take. So to do this, you will be either creating the waist tie or the pocket, depending on which you're doing, and you might be doing neither. But if you're doing the waist ties, you need to turn them right sides together, stitch on the top, stitch all the way down the edge to leave an opening, and turn them through. So then you'll end up with it like this, with an opening at one end. If you're doing the pocket, let me get one. So we have your 2 pockets. You need to make sure you've marked your notches on. The notches at the top are for you to fold over to make the top edge. Now it does say to edge the fabric. I'm using Ponte, so I don't need to. So I'm just going to fold them over, and using a black stitch, I'm going to zigzag across the top of both pockets. So the next step is to attach your pocket right sides together to the side panel. You know which are the side panel pieces because they have this amazing like shape at the top. So down the side panel you will have, so you're going to take that, line it up across there. Now I've chosen to do my pockets in a matching colour because I don't want them to accent. For some people they might choose to do them in like a contrast or the colour that's on the front of the dress, but I wanted mine to sort of disappear into it almost. So I'm going to have to check the pattern because somehow I've managed not to put the other notch on. One's for bottom of pocket and one's for top on the pattern. So if you look at the pattern piece, You've got a notch for belt if you're putting the belt on. If you've got pocket, you've got top and bottom of pocket. So I just need to check I've done bottom. If you were doing the belt, you would be lining the belt up on the side panel that will come to the front, and you're just basting the belt to the side panel, because then when you stitch the front and back together, you will have got the belt securely in, so you don't have to try and do it at the same time. Right, so now we're going to zigzag stitch this into position. Let's have pocket one, so I'll show you what I've done. So the pocket is upside down, so it's going to flip up like this and then be fixed in position. Need a little bit, but not too much. So then I'm going to baste it on the sides. Yeah, baste along the edges. It's like I knew. So here we go, just baste down the edges here. It's a really good idea to baste, because then you don't have to worry about it moving when you attach the panels together. You have like this, you can just have a little sort of, So when you've done both your pockets, we're going to attach all the panels together. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So I'm attaching my two side panels to my back piece. So this is my back piece. I know it's my back piece because it's got like a high rounded neck. So I've clipped that side panel on and that side panel. Check you got it the right way up, because my pocket's there like that and my pocket's there like that. So they're clipped on. So I'm now going to overlock all the way down there and all the way down there, and then we'll attach the front piece and we do the shoulders afterwards. Okay, so now we have back piece attached to the two side panels. Remember, the two side panels have this strange thing here. That's going to become your arm cycle, so don't panic. And the same on that side, and you can see as I go down, look, the pockets are attached there. So now we're going to attach the front panel to each of these, so right sides together, so you'll have made a full circle of all the pieces. For my overlocking, just for interest, I've got rainbow on one side and mostly black on the other, but I do love it when I see this on the inside. So far, apart from the pockets, I've overlocked everything, and I'm going to do the same when I attach the other bit as well. So I'm just going to clip all that together and then stitch those, and then I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, so everything is attached together in a big wide circle, so you will have all these sort of tentacle bits at the top, and then you've got the whole dress downwards like this. So while it's inside out, first of all, I meant to mention, it does say in the instructions to stay stitch your front and back neckline. I haven't, because I'm using a Ponte and I know that it won't drift, but if you're not sure, always stay stitch those, and stitch from the middle out both times, and then on the back just round. So what we're going to do now is, you can see the back here with the back piece of the panel, and then you've got this bit, so this is going to come round, and so you're joining the top together. So if you look, I've got my front and back piece there and the front and back of that back panel, so the seam lines will match up and these will match. So you'll see it's got quite an interesting shape. So see, it's not straight, so make sure when you are overlocking you follow that shape. So I'm just going to clip those in a couple of places and then do the same on the other shoulder, and then that will be the shoulders attached together. So unlike what you normally do, I do the shoulders last because it allows you to attach all the panels without getting in a muddle. Just doing the same again. I like to clip both at the same time because then I can overlock both without having to stop in between. So now you can see front of the dress attached to the back, and you can see these lines where the panels go down. Right, let me just overlock that. So that means the majority of the dress is put together. Now, if you are making this for the first time or with a different fabric, this is a good time to try it on, because the main construction is done, but it is easy to adjust. So if I step back, look, you can now see the dress, and my pockets are not hugely noticeable, which is what I want. So good time to try it on, because you could easily then do a bit more on the shoulders or take a bit out of a panel. Because you've overlocked it or zigzagged it, you could just take it in a bit more. The dress is designed to have a looseness for movement, but if you want it a bit more fitted, or if like me on this occasion I haven't put the belt on, you might decide you want to take it in a bit more to create more shape, or you might like the shape. But this is a good time to do that, because our next step is putting the neck in, and we don't want to do that if we want to make any adjustments. So I'm going to go and try mine on, and then I will be showing you the neck. So do that if you're going to see if you need to make any adjustments. So I've decided on the back, I'm just going to take a little bit in off the waist area, because if I had the belt I wouldn't need it, but I don't want to wear a belt with it. So if you look at the back where these two panels are, I'm just going to go back in with my overlock to start above where I need to, so I can slowly grade in and out. And I want to do it above the pocket line. I'll just hold that up. So I'm just going to, that's the area where I want a little bit taken in. So I'll start further up so I can gradually go in and gradually go out again. And then it's time to do the neckline. So for the neckline, I've cut mine out of the black so I don't waste the lovely colour, and also because you can't see it and it goes with the black. So you've got two pieces. You've got the V-necked front piece and the back piece. You need to put right sides together and attach at both ends like that, like you do with facings, and then we're going to clip that all the way around the neckline, which I'll show you. So you will have clipped right sides together so that your neck facing at the moment is on the outside, so it right sides together. Now Sarah offers in the instructions some really good tips. If you're not familiar with doing this sort of thing, there are some really great tips around putting a pin in to know when to pivot, and also your clipping in and all that sort of thing. I'm a massive fan of Jersey, and I've done this now 3 times on hers. So I actually don't overlock this. I do this on my sewing machine, and I do a straight stitch because this neckline doesn't need any stretching. It fits over my head without any problem. If you think it's going to need stretching, then maybe do a zigzag, and then we're going to flip it inside to do the finish bit. You could overlock this, but I decided not to because I felt like it made it bulky, and it's worked perfectly for me. So I'm off to my sewing machine to just do a stitch at the seam allowance to join these two pieces together. Okay, so neck facing is in, so we're going to flip it to the inside all the way round. So flip it in. Now here at the centre bit, you need to do the V, you need to cut, and this is where I don't know where I put my fabric scissors, but I've got some snips. So here at the V, you just need to do a little snip in, not quite, but close to the stitching line. Got a bit scared then, I thought I'd gone over it. And so it's easy because it flips in and then sits nicely. So I always flip it over and clip in straight away. Now you can press it. I find with Jersey, pressing with like Ponte and things, so I whacked it my knee then, doesn't make a huge difference. So I just go around very carefully, and what I do is really make sure that I've got, I sort of pull it down with my finger so that front and back is sitting correctly, not stretching it, but just making sure the fabric is sitting like, so it's not got a bunched up bit. So I just clip it all in. You could press it, you could use a pressing cloth. I just don't find that it works. Sometimes when you get to where you've got the join of the shoulders, there's a lot of seams going on. So here, Look, so you might want to do some trimming there, just to like grade the seams and things to make it easier. So just have a look and assess, because you want everything sitting nicely, and see if it will do it or whether you need to do that or not. Because what we're going to do afterwards, put down a bit so you can see. So what we're going to do afterwards is we're going to stitch around the neckline. Now again, you might want to do that with a zigzag, you might want to do it with Mariflex, or you might want to do it a straight stitch, depending on how much you think the neckline will need to stretch, and also how much the fabric can cope and the thread. So I will assess that in a minute. I have to say, so far I've done it with a straight stitch and it's been fine. But it also really depends on your fabric. So the jersey I used, the stitch almost disappeared in, but I had to be careful. I had to unpick a bit because it had made it go slightly bobbly, because the jersey, the pile, with this Ponte, it'd be much better behaved. So depending on what you choose to what you need to do. Now there are sleeve options. Let's come back up again one day. There are sleeve options. I have gone for not putting any sleeve option on. There's a sleeve like cap, there's a longer sleeve, but for me, I really quite like this length because I can pop a cardi over if I need a bit, or a jacket, or a long sleeve top underneath. But as I've mentioned before, where I work, often it gets so warm you don't need anything. So there it is, look, with the neckline. So this is really important when you do this stitching. It will be visible, so you want to choose what kind of thread you want. So I'm probably going to go for pink on the outside and a black on the inside, black on my bobbin. And you've got to really not stretch the fabric as you stitch, because even though we did the stay stitch before, there is a tendency to pull at fabric. Don't do that, because then the neckline will stay as it is. So as I say, there is various sleeve options you can add, but I don't feel I need to. Just checking I'm happy with what I did at the back there. Yes. So I'm just going to sort my bobbin out and do that, and then I will show you where we're at. So it's now 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's not because it's a long sew, it's because I'm sewing in between, which is in between working and cooking dinner and all of those things. So I have now clipped and a little overturn on the arm hole. I only go over once because this is not going to fray, this is not going to go anywhere, depending on your fabric, to whether you want to finish the edge with like an overlock or something like that and then do this. I find, for me, I just turn it over once, because if you see what it's like before, it's perfectly neat and it just needs turning over the once because of the type of fabric I'm using. You do have sleeve options in the pattern, so if you don't want to keep it the way it is. So I'm doing the dress with no sleeves instruction, but, and that you can see there Sarah's lovely picture of how to pin it. If you want to do with long sleeves or with turn back cuff, the instructions are here to do that, but for me I prefer to do it like this. If you do that, there is a cuff to go on the bottom of the sleeve as well, and there's all the instructions you need. And then if you were doing it as a tunic, you could add the hemband on the bottom of the tunic as well, but obviously I'm doing it more as a dress. So I'm going to finish it up and then we will have a chat about my 4 versions and my overall impressions and tips, etc. for this pattern. Well, I hope you enjoyed the sew along part. Now we're in the review part where I give you ideas. So if you're thinking about that before you sew along, you can see these. If you want to watch this bit first, then you can go back to the beginning when you're ready to sew along. So I've made 4 versions so far. My next one is going to be in more of a French terry sweatshirty version. I might do the tunic one. So let's start with the first one I made. The first one I made was this one, which was a toile. And I did this to find out if the size I cut was right, if I like the cap sleeve. So this is the cap sleeve. I've done all of the facings, but I didn't do belt or pocket, because I just wanted it, so I did it exactly to the pattern. And this was done in a blue Ponte from Legend, which was £1.99 a metre. So that's perfect for a toile. Actually, apart from taking it in a bit from below the bust downwards at the front on the 2 panels, that was the only change I made, and deciding that the cap sleeve wasn't for me, but that's just because I've got very narrow shoulders and it just almost swamped me. The next one I made was this one, which is in a stretch velvet from Minerva, and I did put the tie belts on this time. So I did the tie belt, and I like to cross it over at the front and then wrap it behind. At the end of the video I'll put some photos in of me in each one. And I've done the interfacing. I did stitch with a straight stitch round here. Because it's velvet you can hardly see it. I have to decide if I want to stitch again to hold that down, and you can see there a very, very fine hem. I didn't put it under again because this is not going to fray, this is not going to go anywhere, just a very fine hem. I lengthen this one slightly, so if I hold it up compared to the toile, you can see I lengthened it at the bottom. Hang on, I lengthened it just a smidge, just because I just wanted it falling a little more mid-calf. So I lengthened that. This makes it a really comfortable but fabulous dressy outfit. I would happily wear this out for a meal. This velvet is super soft. The panels really help it to fall nicely on your body, and I didn't take this one in because the belt did that for me, and it gave a little bit of ruching at the front. So then I made one in a jersey. This is more like a sort of a t-shirt weight jersey. This is from Little Legs, and yes, it is spaceships. So put the belt on again, but really quite significantly lengthen this one. So if I hold it up compared to the other one and get to the bottom, you can see, look, I've lengthened it by, like there, look, about 3 inches. It's probably about 4 inches from the original design. So all I do is just cut lower down and then cut up to it, because you can always shape it slightly. I again did a stitch in yellow just around the edge there, and again a very small hem, not turned under because it's jersey, so it's not going to. Now on this one I didn't need to hem at the bottom because of the type of fabric it is, but what I did do is hand stitch the end of each overlocked part to make sure that it didn't split apart or put pressure on that area when walking. This one I am going to have to do a hem because the jersey is rolling out, not inwards. Sometimes it will roll inwards. This one was rolling out, so I will go back and hem that one. But I think the fact that this is the same pattern, yet two completely different looks by doing it like this. You could pattern match the panels, but I wasn't bothered. It's such a busy pattern, it doesn't notice. I've already worn this. Again, from bust downwards, I took in a little bit of bonus, not much, just to shape it from below the bust. But the belt does that work for you. I've already worn this to work. I felt, you know, where you feel smart, put together, but comfy. Perfect. And I had a compliment already on the colours in it. So easy to match with other things because of all the colours on there. And then the final one I've made has the pockets. So I went for the pockets, and this is the one I talk you through in a minute in the sew along, so excuse the threads. So as you can see, I went for a contrast. This is Ponte and this is Ponte as well. So you've got here the panels, and then at the back like this. So I chose to do the pockets in the matching because I didn't want them really being drawn attention to. This one I sewed at the original length of the pattern. So if I hold it up compared to this one, you'll be able to see the significant difference in length. But I think it's really nice to have that variety. This one will be so easy to wear with a long sleeve top underneath, but so easy to dress up or dress down, I think in silver jewellery or black jewellery, depending on what it is. But loving these big pockets, but I think that they don't look sort of make it too overly casual because of the way I've done it. You can see here on this neckline I was a bit more generous with the width of my stitching because I knew that this fabric would cope with it, and you can see it on the inside. So I just got to decide whether it's going to flip out or not. Again, I overlocked all the main parts, so you can see here I used my rainbow variegated overlocking thread. So all of the main parts on all four I overlocked. The only place I didn't was when I attached the neck facing and when I attached it down, but that's in. So why do I love this pattern? I love this pattern, number one, because it's really easy to play with lots of different fabrics and lots of fabric combinations to create something from just a chilling out at home. Think about if I did it in these two, a chilling out at home cozy dress, right through to the velvet one, which is a going out feeling fabulous, and that's all from one pattern. Secondly, I like it because you've got the great variation. I still haven't done one with sleeves or the tunic version yet, so I've still got so many versions I could sew. And thirdly, the construction is nice and interesting but not overly tricky, which gives you a different take on a dress that you might not have had. And finally, it is a dress that I think will work on lots of body shapes and make people feel good and comfy without anything around the waist. And I'm a big advocate for not feeling things tight on your body, because I find that if something's tight in the wrong place on my body, it makes me become overly aware of my body, and I don't want to be overly aware of my body while I'm working. I want to be thinking about what I'm doing, not about how I'm feeling, and this really fits the bill for that. So if you would like the pattern for yourself, make sure you get it before the end of April because you get a discount. If not, get it anyway because it's a brilliant pattern and I'd love to see your versions. So do leave me a message. Do contact me on Instagram and share me your versions of this pattern.